Hello everybody. We're going to talk about completing the square. We're going to go back over that one more time. First of all, of course, I do want to give you the steps. So let's go ahead and write down those steps. So the first step you want to do, you want to rewrite your equation in this particular form. So ax squared plus bx equals c. So basically you want the constant, you want that isolated. The next thing you're going to do is you want to divide both sides by a. Now, if you do that, what you're going to be left with is x squared plus bx equals c. So what you want is you want to make sure that the x squared has a coefficient of 1. If it doesn't have a coefficient of 1, you actually can't do the rest of the steps. The next thing you need to do is actually complete the square. Now the way that you do that is by adding the magic number to both sides. So you complete the square by adding b over 2 squared to both sides. Then you will want to factor, and of course you want to solve and simplify. Oh, you want to square root actually. Let me do that first. Let's make that a step. So let's go ahead and square root, then solve and simplify. Okay. So let's see how these steps work. So what it'll say is it'll say solve by completing the square. And of course we're going to follow those directions. So let's look at example 1. So let's say we have 2x squared minus 16x equals negative 30. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure this is equal to the constant, and it is equal to just the constant. So this is already in the form that I need it in. The next thing I need to do is make sure that x squared has a coefficient of 1. Currently it has a coefficient of 2. So what I'm going to do is divide both sides by 2. Now remember, when you divide, everybody divides. So 2x squared divided by 2 is x squared. Negative 16x divided by 2 is negative 8x. Negative 30 divided by 2 is negative 15. Now from here, I need to complete the square. To complete the square, I have to add the magic number, so I need to figure out what b over 2 squared is. Well, b is negative 8. So I have negative 8 over 2 squared. Negative 8 over 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. That's the number that I need to add to both sides. So x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals negative 15 plus 16. And the reason I can do this is because, remember, I can do whatever I want to an equation, as long as I do the same thing to both sides. Now, that actually makes this right side rather easy. Negative 15 plus 16 is 1. Let's go over here, and I need to factor this trinomial on the left. So I'm going to factor, I have x times x. I need two numbers that multiply to give me 16 and add to give me 8. Those would be 4 and 4. I need them preferably to add to give me negative 8. Now this is incredibly helpful because this is actually x minus 4 quantity squared, and that's equal to 1. Now I'm ready to take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So that leaves me with x minus 4 equals positive or negative 1, because remember the square root of 1 is positive or negative 1. Now I just need to solve. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So I have 4 plus or minus 1. So 4 plus 1 is 5, and 4 minus 1 is 3. And those are my two solutions. All right, let's try another problem. Let's say we have x squared plus 16x minus 21 equals negative 5. Hold on. All right. So the first thing I want to do is I want all of my constants on the right. Clearly they're not. This negative 21 is not in the correct location. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add 21 to both sides. That way, when I simplify, I have x squared plus 16x equals negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. Now my constant is isolated. I also want to verify that my coefficient of x squared is 1, and it is. So we're set there as well. So I'm ready to go ahead and find my magic number. So I need to find out what b over 2 squared is. So b is 16, so that'd be 16 over 2 squared. 16 over 2 is 8. 8 squared is 64. So I need to add 64 to both sides. So I have x squared plus 16x plus 64 equals negative 3 plus 64. Now I'm going to simplify the right because that just gives me 61. That's very simple. I need to factor this trinomial here. I know it's going to be x times x. I need two numbers that multiply to give me 64 and add to give me 16. It's going to be positive 8 and positive 8. Now that is handy because that gives me x plus 8 squared, and that's equal to 61. So I'm in an excellent place. I can go ahead and take the square root of both sides. That leaves me x plus 8 is equal to, now here's the thing, 61 is not a perfect square. I don't think I can even simplify 61. I don't know anything that multiplies to give me 61. So let's see. I don't think so. So I'm just going to leave this plus or minus the square root of 61 because I can't simplify 61. I do need to subtract 8 from both sides, so I have negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 61. And that's my solution. All right, example 3. We have 3x squared plus 10x plus 8 equals 0. Now the first thing I want to do is get this in the correct form. I notice that my constant is not in the right location, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 8 from both sides. So the constant will be correct. So I have 3x squared plus 10x equals negative 8. The next thing I notice is that I do not have a coefficient of 1 here. So to get rid of that, I'm going to have to divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. When I simplify that, I have x squared plus 10 over 3x equals negative 8 over 3. And those don't simplify, those fractions don't simplify, so I'm just going to leave them as is. Now my constant is isolated. My coefficient for x squared is 1, so I'm ready to find the magic number. So remember that the magic number is b over 2 squared. So my b value is 10 over 3, that's 10 over 3, then over 2, and all of that is squared. 10 over 3 over 2 is going to be the same thing as, I believe that's 10 over 6. Yes, 10 over 6. All of that squared. That's going to be 100 over 36. Okay. So we have 100 over 36. Okay. So I'm going to add that to both sides. So I have x squared plus 10 over 3x plus 100 over 36 equals negative 8 over 3 plus 100 over 36. Okay. I would like to go ahead and simplify the right, so I'm just going to do some math here on the side. I need 36 to be my common denominator. So I'm going to have to multiply everything by 12. I believe 8, what is 8 times 12? Clear. 96. Okay, so that would be, so I have negative 8 over 3. I'm going to multiply that by 12 over 12 plus 100 over 36. That's going to give me negative 96 over 36 plus 100 over 36. That's going to give me 4 over 36. Okay, and 4 over 36, see, 4 goes into 36, so that'd be 9 times, so it'd be 1 over 9. Okay, so it looks like here on the right, I actually have 1 over 9 once I simplify. I'm going to come over here and factor this. So I need two numbers that multiply to give me 136 over 10 over 3. So I'm going to go, it's got to be 10 over 6. I'm going to guess 10 over 6, 10 over 6, and I need them both to be positive. All right, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that. So that's x plus 10 over 6 quantity squared equals 1 over 9. I'm ready to go ahead and take the square root of both sides. Remember when you take the square root of a fraction that you're actually taking the square root of the numerator and the denominator. So the square root of 1 over 9 is going to be 1 over 3. I'm almost finished here. I do need to subtract 10 over 6 from both sides. That 1 over 3, I'm going to think of it as a 6. So I need to, that's going to be negative 10 over 6 plus or minus 2 over 6, the same thing as 1/3. So that's going to give me negative 12 over 6 and negative 8 over 6, and those do simplify. So I'll simplify them when I write them here. Negative 12 over 6 is negative 2. Negative 8 over 6 is negative 4 over 3. And there you are. So you can do that with a fraction as well. So there are some examples for you.